For stories to start your morning, the Bucs surprised the Saints with a 48-40 win behind 417 yards passing and 5 total touchdowns from Ryan Fitzpatrick. Cece, how much did this surprise you yesterday?
Oh, it was a surprise. I know he was surprised. After the game, he got a message from his wife for talking to his kids. He's got 6 kids. He's got a couple sons, one Tate and one Brady. Tate, the 9-year-old, had to convince Brady to put the dad on his fantasy football team. Yeah. Dad didn't even know Brady was playing fantasy football. So he gets a perfect quarterback rating over 400 yards. Dad didn't even know his son put him on his fantasy team. So everyone, I hope they had Ryan Fitzpatrick on their fantasy team.
On the Bucs side of things, like on Fitzpatrick, we will see a couple games like this a year. Maybe not quite to this standard, but really big games from Fitzpatrick. When he is pressed into duty due to injury or in this case suspension, he actually tends to be one of the better backups in the league. It's when those games convince a team to then make him a starter, a la the Jets, a la the Texans, that you then see the real Ryan Fitzpatrick. But credit to him, the Saints part of this was what was so surprising. This looked like 2014, 15, 16 Saints defense, not the 2017 Saints defense that was one of the big stories of the NFL season. What I guess shouldn't be surprising is the Saints losing their opening game of the year 5 years in a row. They've started off at least 0-1. Remember last year 0-2 before they turned everything around.
That is crazy. All right, moving on to Andrew Luck's debut. He threw for 319 yards and 2 touchdowns, but the Colts weren't able to get the win over the Cincinnati Bengals. Nick, what'd you make of Andrew Luck's performance?
I mean, this is a gutsy performance. He took one of the most brutal hits anyone took all weekend very early in this football game. He throws a pick on his first pass. A couple drives later, he takes a brutal helmet-to-helmet shot from Sean Williams. They got Williams ejected from the game. All he did after that was throw more passes than any player in the league yesterday. Looked like the old Andrew Luck for the majority of time. And I think potentially was putting the Colts in position for another comeback win a la 2016 and 2014 Andrew Luck until Jack Doyle fumbled the football. I thought he looked very good in his first game action since January 1st of 2017. I was happy to see it.
Yeah, Luck looked very good. Limited talent that he's got around him as far as explosive players. You mentioned the big play at the end. I thought they were going to come back and win this game. Man, you got to give Luck credit, especially. Not a lot of guys coming back from that big hit early. Quarterbacks don't like to get hit, but we saw a couple of heroic, courageous performances. We talked about Rodgers before. Luck was special, too, even though they lost.
All right, let's move on to Kirk Cousins' Vikings debut. He threw for 2 touchdowns and 244 yards in the win over the 49ers. See, is that about what you expected out of Cousins yesterday?
This is a good football team. He can't put too much pressure on himself. They're going to be about 3 to 5 games this year where maybe they can't get the game going, or maybe their defense maybe is not as stingy as they're used to, and they might give up some points. Those are the games where they need the veteran quarterback. But 240, 275 yards per game, keeping the turnovers down. We saw a couple touchdown passes. Nice and steady. That's what the Vikings would prefer from a quarterback.
And that one touchdown pass to Stephon Diggs is flatly a throw Case Keenum cannot make, and that is the type of throw they brought him there for. But the story of this game, as you alluded to, is the overall talent of this Vikings team. We saw Dalvin Cook back. He looked good, but the defense made play after play and made Jimmy G look bad, and I know we're going to get to him right now.
All right, speaking of Jimmy G, the other side of the ball, same game. Jimmy Garoppolo struggling in his season debut, throwing 3 picks in the loss. All right, Nick, what did you think of Garoppolo?
Listen, I expected something of a Garoppolo regression. I didn't expect it to this level. 3 picks, less than 50% completions, a quarterback rating sub 60. But this is against arguably the best defense in football. There was a big moment in the game where he has his tight end Kittle wide open. It would have been a 50-plus yard gain, and Kittle just drops it. On the very next play, he makes his worst decision of the game that results in a pick 6. That 2-play sequence could have swung the game, but this is the concern with Jimmy Garoppolo. The sample size was so small, and they have shown so much faith in him. He doesn't have great weapons around him, and the Vikings exploited all of that yesterday, see?
Nick, I told you, I warned you, I told you 2 quarterbacks that had outstanding 2017s that they would regress. in 2018. Deshaun Watson, Houston Texans. I warned you. Jimmy Garoppolo, after we saw him going on this date in L.A. this offseason, I told you, watch a correction coming to him.
I was down on Jimmy before the date. I then actually got high on Jimmy after the date. You went in the opposite order. I think you were higher on him and then now. So, yeah, we were both worried about Jimmy Garoppolo headed into this season.
Yeah, his selection is not popular in the Twin Cities.
Bottom line, no more dates for Jimmy G. Finally, I just stepped in.
Someone who didn't regress. Patrick
Mahomes shined in Week 1 against the Chargers, throwing 4 touchdowns, including 2 to Tyreek Hill. What'd you make of the Mahomes to Hill combo, Nick?
I mean, this looks to me like a quarterback to a number 1 wide receiver, Tyreek Hill. This Chiefs offense is as advertised, at least through Week 1. Now, their defense...
Well, how many number 1 wide receivers do you have? You have Kelsey. You told me Sammy Watkins is going to be a number 1 this year. Like, how many number 1 receivers do you have?
No. Kelsey's a great tight end. Sammy Watkins is an excellent complement to the dynamic playmaker that is Tyreek Hill. But whatever the differentiation on number 1, number 2 wide receiver, what you have in Kansas City is an offense that is going to be incredibly difficult to stop for every team that they play this year. And when you have Andy Reid drawing things up, you saw some incredible creativity at the goal line and just enough plays defensively. This is a team that we thought going into the year, if Mahomes was good, could be the best offense in the league. And Mahomes didn't play a perfect game, but the slant to Tyreek Hill, his read on that where he's getting blitzed and then changes the arm angle to whip it to Tyreek Hill and then Tyreek Hill does the rest, that's an elite level play. Now that throw we just shown, he just kind of got lucky on it and Tyreek Hill went up and made a play.
Why are you laughing,
What's up, C? What up? Go.
Nick's talking about he changed his arm angle. Please.
What? On the slant? Do you think I'm wrong?
I see you. I see you with your in-depth analysis of your Kansas City team.
You ain't here, so I'm sitting on this side, so I'm talking arm angle. What'd you see?
You didn't even hear when he told about strategies for the wide receiver.
Absolutely.
He broke down the position.
Absolutely. So what's up, C?
This is what I know about young quarterbacks. Just be careful, all right? He's not in Canton. Yesterday was a good game. He's got good arm talent. He's got really good skilled guys around him. The offensive line, there's still going to be some question marks. And you're still going to have 3 to 4 games where he's going to look like a young player. So we play a 16-game schedule. He looked good in this game. The Chargers, they didn't have they didn't have Bosa out there playing, which would have helped them. And I'm still concerned about the Chiefs' secondary. Good opening start for Mahomes, though, and him changing his arm angle as he's in the pocket.
Absolutely. It was a good observation by you. One note about the Chargers, who I know a lot of people are very high on this year. What you forget, the Bosa injury is potentially huge, but let's hope he's going to be back because he's one of the best players in the league. What you saw from them there in the stadium yesterday is one of the reasons I was skeptical of their ability to succeed this year. When you have 8 games scheduled on the road, 1 game scheduled in London, and in your 7 home games, 3 or 4 of them are going to look like yesterday did, where the entire lower bowl is red, where the Los Angeles fans sell their tickets to the opposing team's fans that come into L.A. for a weekend. It's hard enough to win in this league. Right. If you never have a home field advantage, it can be almost impossible to win. I don't think that was the difference yesterday, but visually it was instructive to see a red lower bowl in Los Angeles when the Raiders come to town. Yeah. That's going to be black jerseys. Like, they're going to play a lot of road games at home, which can be very difficult for a team that, by the way, still doesn't have a...
Nick, were the fans out there tackling? Did the fans kick Tyreek Hill that ball and on that special teams touchdown? Did they do that?
No, listen, the Chiefs are obviously such a dominant...
I just thought maybe my TV was broke.
The Chiefs are obviously such a dominant force, they didn't need that edge. I'm simply saying in the closer games, I don't think they're going to have the home field advantage that most teams across the league are able to enjoy at least 8 Sundays a year.
It's the quarterback angle. It's the angle.
It's the arm angle. All right, y'all watch the film. I'm not going to be mocked for this for another second.
Moving on to the Patriots and the Texans now. Tom Brady and Deshaun Watson.